Global Socialpreneurs is brought to you in part by Positive Talk Radio, KKNW 1150 AM in Seattle. Check them out at www.positivetalkradio.net.
Welcome to Global Socialpreneurs, a one-of-a-kind talk show showcasing expert social entrepreneurs. Learn their stories and their secrets to creating a sustainable impact. Now, here are your hosts, social entrepreneurs Ann Scotland and Shremitria Gonzalez.
Welcome back. Hi, Shremitria.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you. And welcome back to our amazing audience and viewers. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for tuning in today here again at Global Socialpreneurs. We are changing the conversation in the world from entrepreneurship to social entrepreneurship, setting role models for ourselves, for our colleagues, and for the next generation to find ways to give back. And Shremitria herself, of course, is a social entrepreneur, and so am I. So, Shremitria, it's just always such a pleasure to be here in this space with you and just feel the power and love that is you.
Thank you so much, Ann. I'm always excited to be here. Since we started this project, every day, every time we do it, I learn something new. It literally is a blessing.
Oh, me too. I love that. That's what I mean. Learning is my love. So yeah, and I say humanity is my religion. So learning about humanity and how it works and how we can help is literally what gets me excited and wakes me up in the morning. So we interview people each week, incredible socialpreneurs of the week who share their secrets, their stories, and how you can get motivated or find ideas or resources that you need to be your own social entrepreneur or help someone out that you know is. Today we have an amazing guest. I have a story, but I'm going to wait until he comes on. We have an amazing guest, so we're just going to jump to it because we'll have plenty of content today. And so our guest today is Mike, we call it Mike Martin. He's an innovator, a disruptor. I love it. He wrote that. And a social entrepreneur. The incredible tragedies and triumphs in his own life has really made him dedicated to giving back, to making a difference in the lives of others. And his other inspiration comes from his wife, 4 kids, 8 grandkids, and all the people he has met along the way. Please welcome Mike Martin.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, Mike. So nice to wake up this morning and hear your cheerful Texas accent.
There you go. So
to me, it's one of those happy accents. It just makes me feel happy.
There you go.
We had Mike was introduced to me through the one and only radio personality and dear friend of mine, Freddie Mercury. Freddie Cruz, and that's the story. Freddie Cruz, who is also from Texas, and met Michael and found out his incredible story.
Wow.
So this is the funny story. So I reached out to Michael. I said, "Hey, Michael," and I was telling that Freddie had just reached out to me and I'd like to connect. But here's what happened to my brain, which was, we'll just share this publicly and make it fun for everyone. I had the radio going and Queen came on and I was typing Freddie Cruz, but what came out of my fingers was Freddie Mercury. I said, Freddie Mercury has referred me to you and I think he's amazing and we should talk. And then I copied and pasted this exact line into one email, 2 emails, LinkedIn memos, and something else, and then just press send.
Oh my God.
Fortunately, I could send a follow-up email, but Mike and I were just connecting on LinkedIn, which means, he has to accept you, and you only get that one message. So I couldn't even fix it on LinkedIn. It's still there. So anyway, so that was my, I love Queen, so no apologies. It inspires me. But yes, so the one and only Freddie Cruz, who is a radio personality, recommended you, Michael. And we're just so happy to have you here and happy to hear your story. Yeah. So let's just roll right in. Michael, you have a unique story, your own trials, your own triumphs, your own struggles, and how that led you to wanting to create an impact and create your particular social initiatives. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've always invented, and again, when I invent, I mean, again, that's to live in the dream. I mean, the dream everybody talks about: invent your own product, take it to market, be successful, not be successful. That's a very hard thing to do. I found out over the years. But it's like I said, it's a lot of fun, and you always hear the phrase that it's you never work a day in your life when you love what you do, and that's what my life is. And I just kind of put a little bit more behind it, where since I do get to live the life I want to live, that I'm going to give most of the money to charities. So. Because I'm living the dream. So if you're going to let me do this, I get to take people sailing. I get to invent products, take them to market. And again, the funnest part about taking a product to market is the people you meet. I mean, just the people who are the early adopters, who buy your initial products, your prototypes that don't even look like finished product, right? But they believe in you and they give you a shot. There's just no greater satisfaction than that. There's no greater respect for the people who do that for you, because again, the first couple of products that you sell, they're determining your future, if you're going to go forward or not. And so,
and did for you, because you've been an inventor for a long time, and we'll see how much time we have, because I'd love to hear other stories, or maybe that'll just be another episode. But you have been an innovator and inventor your whole life. Like, I mean, this guy's literally an inventor. He invents three-dimensional useful objects, puts them on the market, and sells them to the world, which I just love, because I love creative minds. But something kind of got off track with you a ways back in your life, and you were dealing with some personal traumas, addictions.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because we always like to know that each other is human and that we've been through our own struggles and found light at the end.
Oh yeah. Now I've always had addiction issues, compulsive, I guess, obsessive maybe. But yeah, so I quit drinking 20 years ago, and I thought that would solve a lot of my problems, and it did for a while. But then I played sports my whole life, so I had some injuries, and I had some shoulder surgeries and got stung on pain pills. And again, with the pressures of business and stress and pain pills, I got myself into a situation where my heart was bad and had to have heart surgery. And I really got myself in a mess in my head. And my parents were starting to fail, and Emma was born with a knot on her chest. My granddaughter, my fifth granddaughter. And at that point I was like, you're no good to anybody. If you're all jacked up on pain pills, who are you going to help? And then Emma, like I said, she was born with that knot on her chest, and that I had to check myself into rehab. That was a big moment in my life. Not giving in by any means, but surrendering, so to speak. And I did that, and magic happened after that. And I was kind of saying a little bit before that this is all happening in real time. I mean, I didn't think this out. I didn't plan anything. I went to rehab, and all of a sudden God started showing up and giving me things. And I started, maybe I'm supposed to do this. Maybe I'm supposed to do that. And, 10 days after I went into rehab, I was talking to a person about a sailboat. I invented the cooling curve, and Miss Emma's retreat was started. So.
Wow. Okay. So let's back up one more second just there. So we're going to talk about the invention, but what I love in this story is that you came up with the initiative before you had the money to carry it out.
Yes.
And I love this, because this is often what happens in real life. So tell us a little bit again about a little more detail around how you went from your own emotional, physical, chemical challenges, heart surgery, your baby granddaughter is born with some kind of defect that is very scary for the whole family. And it really helps you prioritize what is meaningful in life. And, especially around causes involving cancer. So go back to the boat and how you came across this guy with the boat and how these ideas were born.
Yeah. So the main reason that I went into rehab was for the detox. I needed to come off the medicine properly, because again, Xanax and pain pills, that's what I was on. You just don't quit them. I mean, you quit them, you can have a stroke, you have a lot of problems. And I had heart disease, so I was really concerned about that. So checked myself in, went to detox, was there for 4 days. Then they put me over in population, I like to call it, right? Got over to the big facility, and rehab is very interesting. It's a great place. They teach you a lot, but it's very hard on the head and the mind. And so I was in there, and the first kid that approached me, I'd heard him in there talking about boats, and again, conversations in rehab are conversations in rehab, just that. Don't know what to believe, not what to believe, or whatever. But it was my first day. This kid started talking boats. He came over to me, "Hey, Mike, come play cornhole." I didn't want anything to do with him. I was like, just leave me alone. Next day, he comes in wearing a Baylor shirt where my daughter went. So "Hey, you went to Baylor?" And he goes, "Yeah, I graduated in theology at Baylor." And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Later that day, we're out playing, we're on break. He's playing catch with somebody. He can really throw a baseball. So I was like, "Did you play baseball?" "Yeah, I was a catcher on the baseball team." I was like, okay. Next day, he's on outpatient. I'm on inpatient. So he comes in. He's wearing a sailing instructor shirt. I'm like, "You're a sailing instructor?" He goes, "Yeah, I won the silver medal in the Junior Olympics when I was 13 in sailing." I was like, okay. And, "Is there anything else we need to know about you? You're pretty amazing." And he was in there for the same thing, pain pills for knee surgeries, right? Lawrence Mayer is his name. Young, good-looking kid, 22 years old, had everything going, right? And it kind of gave me some comfort that it's not, and that's what AA does and rehab does, is it shows that there's other people out there that are better situations than you that have the same struggles. And although I had been around longer than he had, he has his whole life ahead of him, and look what he's struggling with already. And I know what it is. It's very challenging. So anyway, I was just really impressed with him. That was the third day in rehab in the population. The fourth day, Candy came and told me, my wife, that Emma was diagnosed with cancer at 4 weeks old. And they were starting chemo the next day, 52 weeks of chemo. And I mean, right then, I wasn't healed by any means, but I had bigger issues in my addiction to me, right? And I was like, come on now. If Emma's 3 weeks old and already fighting this, quit doing what you're doing, Mike, and let's go help Emma. And so again, I really had a pretty big moment right then, right? And so the next day, we had art class, and art class, I hadn't been in art class in 40 years, right? And so, but they gave us these boards. They said, "You're going to write a vision board, make a vision board of what you're going to do when you get out of here to pay it forward." Because everything's about, when you're in rehab, is being grateful and getting the focus off you and doing things for other people. And so, all right, I knew what I was going to do. I was going to get with the kid who sailed. We're going to go get a sailboat. We're going to take cancer kids sailing in Galveston Bay free of charge. So we were going to do. They all looked at me like I was crazy, and we were going to go do it. And so the next week I got on outpatient, and me and Lawrence went and looked at boats, and boats were $300,000. I had no idea boats were $300,000, but I guess I kind of did, but I just didn't put it two and two together. So that was a hurdle. I've been accustomed to hurdles, but hurdles you just get over, around, get past, but just get by them and you'll move on. So I did some research, and I found a company called SailTime, which does membership on boats. And that was more feasible, but I still didn't have any money. I was in rehab, right? So, so still a daunting thing, but, I said I was going to do it. I put it out in the universe, and that's how things get started. So the next day I went to Galveston to see my parents for the first time, and I was still in rehab. So my dad was still not very pleased with me. They were very strict, and they were glad I went and got help, but still, let's, get your stuff together, Mike. So needless to say, I wasn't going to tell dear old Dave about my sailboat idea. So he takes me down.
$300,000 on a boat right now, Dad. Dave.
Hey, Dad, I got a great idea in rehab. He would have killed me right then. So I figured I better keep my mouth shut on that one. So he took me down to the neighborhood restaurant. My mom said, "You go with Dad," which meant I might be getting a talking to, right? And so at 54 years old. And so we go down to the neighborhood restaurant. He puts me at the bar where you put your son in rehab, is at the bar, right? And the bartender comes and puts a bucket down in front of me, a wine bucket, puts a bottle in it, puts ice on top of it. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. And my dad goes, what's that? I said, that wine bucket's not going to work. He goes, who cares? I said, no, Dad, I think I'm about to invent something. And that's when he, oh no, here we go. He's in rehab. He's solving the world's problems.
Oh,
I was like, hold on, Dad. I think I might have something here. So I said, watch this. And the bartender took that bucket over to the table and he pulled the bottle out. He opened it and he poured it. And I said, watch this, Dad. And he went to put it back in and it didn't fit. And I was like, and it was a girl, actually. She went to put it back in and she couldn't get it in. She was juggling it, trying to get it in. And I said, see that, Dad? And I grabbed a pen and I drew the wine bucket in a second. I mean, it was a flash. It was nothing to it. And I looked at it, and my dad even looked at it, and you couldn't argue with, well, that'll work. And I instantly knew right then that God gave me that. I mean, that's all of me. God gave that to me. And that's when it all happened to me. I was like, Dad was sitting there having his wine going, oh, God, here we go, and minding his own business. And I was plotting in my head with God. I was like, all right, so you're going to give me this bucket to take to market. If you let me do that, because again, I've done it with the heavyweight scrub brush. I know how fun it is. Again, very hard, very expensive, but fun, right? And very rewarding, right? And I was like, if you're going to let me take another product to market that's cheaper this time, a much better model than my first product that I took to market. So I knew that I had a better opportunity at this one. My other one's bigger, I think, but this one would be easier. And so I was like, if you're going to let me do this and you're going to let me take cancer kids sailing with the proceeds, you can have it. I'll do the rest of my life. I'll donate to you. You make sure my wife's taken care of, and I'll start a company called Capitalism to Cause, and we're going to go make a difference. And that's what happened.
And tell us the solution, just so we wrap up this part of the story, this chapter, how you figured out the finances, because you hadn't sold all these wine buckets yet. How did you figure out a smart way to get a hold of a boat?
Well, I had a pretty decent job at the time. So, and it wasn't all that expensive through Sail Time, this boat ownership. And so, it was doable, but how did I get the product going?
Sail Time was, so he realized, unless I'm repeating myself or repeating you, in which case I apologize, you realized that you could rent a boat for X days a week or a month, basically a timeshare on a boat.
Yes.
And that this would cut your costs exponentially.
Yeah.
So tell people what kind of deal that is, how you figured it out, because I think this might be something in their own city somewhere someone might find a great use for as a social.
No, exactly. And yeah, so when I looked at the sailboats are $300,000. When I did more research, I found a company called Sail Time, which is where you can go do a timeshare in a boat, which makes it very affordable. I mean, all you have to do is go to the boat. It's got gas in it. They teach you how to use it. You go out. When you come back in, you just make sure it's clean for the next guest, and you're done. And the membership that I got in, you got it 7 times a month, which would be plenty of time for us to take cancer patients out, because I figured we'd do 1 or 2 a month on weekends and stuff. And so, and the other times we'll do other things with the boat. We'll take other people out, but that would give us enough space to do what we wanted to do. And so I called Sail Time, and it was that easy. Evan Macaluso, one of the nicest, kindest men I've ever met in my life. He'd actually been sailing in Clear Lake for 50 years. Since he was 2 years old, his dad taught him. And so I went and met him, and we got on a 45-foot boat. I mean, we have a beautiful sailboat. It is 45 foot, 3 cabins, 2 toilets and showers. You're supposed to call them heads, or I call them toilets, but yeah, it's a 3-bedroom, has a kitchen. I mean, you can do everything on the boat. So when we take people out, we'll take 6 people plus me and someone to help or to cook, and we'll cook downstairs, and we feed them, and we take them out, teach them how to sail. But and again, it's next to nothing to do. That's that.
Incredible. But wait, one thing here. But you were able to do this because you were a lifelong trained sailor, right?
No, I never sailed a day in my life. Well, I sailed with my son's friends 20 years earlier in San Diego for 3 hours, and I was scared to death the whole time because I didn't think the kids were responsible enough to get me back alive, right? So I was scared the whole time. We were on a little tiny boat in San Diego, and it was beautiful. I mean, it was a cool experience. I was just scared to death because.
So you were able to learn in a very short time how to captain a 45-foot sailboat.
It's the only boat I've ever sailed.
So if y'all are saying, well, I can't do a boat, I can't, just listen to my
yes, and you can, and I had the luxury of having my own sailing instructor with Lawrence, right? And so, but Evan, they teach you everything you need to know, and once you're comfortable going out, they'll let you go. I mean, as soon as you feel like you're good and you can handle that boat, you go. And within 6 weeks, I was out. Well, I always went with Lawrence right out of the gate, right? Within a week, Evan would let me and Lawrence go by ourselves because Lawrence was so experienced. But 6 weeks in, I was out by myself, sailing a boat by myself and not needing anybody to go in. And once I could sail by myself, I sailed almost every day because the boat was so close to my house. The other members on the boat were out of town, and so the boat was always available. So I'd go sail every day, right? And learn how to sail it and stuff. And what people don't understand, I think, and what more people will understand when they do the socialpreneur stuff, we get just as much out of it than the people who are get. So the whole time I'm learning how to sail, my mom and dad are dying. Emma's cancer. I mean, again, I did hospice with my parents. I did 4 years of hospice with my in-laws. Did 2 years of, a year and a half of hospice with my parents. But I was the medicine giver for all 4 of them, right? And so, which is heavy duty in its own right. But I get so much out of it. We went sailing last night with a woman with mouth cancer, and they just kept going on about, I can't believe you do this. And it's like, I'm with y'all. Y'all are amazing. Your story is better than my story. And look at the sunset I get to watch. So I'm the one in the joy. I mean, so, and again, that's just what happens. I call it goosebumps. Yeah, I love living in goosebumps.
I call it joy too.
Yeah, because when you're living in goosebumps, you get goosebumps from giving, right? And so the best way to live is in goosebumps. But because that's the joy. When you got the goosebumps, I mean, life is good. So yeah. So
my question to you would be that you're working collaboratively with other not-for-profits or other organizations. How do the people find out about you? How do you continue to make this work go? And is it the same entity as your business? So
so my
understanding of how they can do it and how they interject and interchange within one entity, which is you, with this idea. How does it all come together?
Yeah, so, and that's what we're working on now. My company's Capitalism to Cause. Again, I've dedicated everything that I make from here on out to my causes, to Capitalism to Cause, which that's my cause. I want to see other products come into this company and we sell them and people get to a point where their money goes to. I don't know if you've been to our website, but when you go to thecoolingcurve.com and buy my wine bucket, you have to pick a charity that you want your money to go to. So it's basically a little bit over wholesale is what goes to whatever charity. So instead of going to a retailer, you get the point where your money goes to. And so, and those right now, it's just my 2 products, but I'd like to see other people like mine bring their products in, put it in our Capitalism to Cause, and people can come shop at Capitalism to Cause and they can point where they want their money to go. Now, the proceeds that we make through, everything below what we give away to charity, we do good with our money. We do Miss Emma's Retreat, right? And again, I want to expand on that. We're just doing Miss Emma's Retreat now because we're selling so many wine buckets. Once this thing gets going and we start selling wine buckets like we should be selling wine buckets, we'll be generating more money. And then once we do that, we'll go in and help people. Parking. Oh my gosh. If you get diagnosed with cancer at MD Anderson in Houston, you're looking at $6,000 in parking fees for the year. and that's not in insurance, right? And so there's a company, a charity, Candlelight, that they will help you with parking. That's what they do, that and food. And again, I had no idea until Emma was diagnosed with cancer that there's all these expenses. Since then, my mom died of cancer. 2 of my brother-in-laws have died of cancer. And that's 2020, right? So since then, we've had, God, I've had, if you put my sailing into it, I have about 9 people that I was very close with died of cancer in the last 3 years, right? And so it's out there, and it's everywhere. And so again, I just think that we can do more besides sailing. If we want to, I worked at Gallery Furniture. I don't know if you know Gallery Furniture, Mattress Mac down here, but I went and bought a Hellcat when I was working for him. I did outside sales and marketing. He told me to go drum up business. So I went and bought a Hellcat. I don't know, 700 horsepower car, right? It was a Charger. And I went and got the builders, and I would take them to the racetracks and let them drive my car around the racetrack. So why can't we do that with cancer patients that don't want to go sailing? They would rather go risk their life on a racetrack. Well, let's go do that. If they want to go skydiving, I'll take them skydiving, and we'll go do that. It's kind of like a Make-A-Wish, but just it's the same thing, just giving more opportunities. But again, it's just on how big we can grow. The money that we can give away is the key. And I think we can do a lot. Look at Amazon. Just imagine if Amazon was capitalism to cause and we were giving money to charity as opposed to putting it in our pocket.
That's one thing that Ann says all the time, is it just takes one. What if we hired one person that had a record, or one person that, was a foreigner? Like, if we just do one, every company in the world just try to make an initiative to give back to one organization or give back. And when you think about capitalism in America, that means you can capitalize off anything. Well, if you can capitalize off anything, why can't we use half of those proceeds to help everything?
Yeah.
Or whatever is needed. So I love your ideas of how you do that. You do all of these things, and you were already kind of making it out of your own addictions and stuff like that. How do you take care of yourself right now to be able to do the work that you're doing? Do you have any principles you live by? I know I hear God a lot. That's good. I'm also about to be an ordained minister and pastor. So I'm going to be getting that next month. But
congratulations.
I use that as my source. What is your thing that keeps you doing this? I know it gets hard.
Yeah, does it get hard? Yeah. It's all new. It's all coming to me. And life is amazing. I mean, it's just amazing. It's just, if you watch it, it's just absolutely amazing. And so what keeps me grounded and going is just the belief that it's just all going to work out. I've always been a glass is always half full. I mean, I've always been that way. I'm not what's a devil's advocate? My wife is my devil's advocate. I don't need a devil's advocate. I don't even like the devil side of it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear no. Just let's go, and we'll deal with the no, but we'll get around the no. And that's just what you do. You get around them, get by them, get past them. But you have, again, so I'm not a big into you got to watch out for this. Just do it. I mean, again, I make mistakes, but you hopefully learn from mistakes. I'm starting to really feel that it's just destiny, right? I mean, it's planned out, because the things that have happened to me in my life started 10 years ago. And again, I can real quick, Emma had to have surgery on her chest at 4 months old. We didn't know what was going on. The doctors didn't know. They were going to find out when they got in. And so we're all scared to death. Hurricane Harvey was about to come in. And my house, when it rains for 10 minutes, my house would get water in it in my bedroom from my neighbors. The leave. And so I had to talk to this lady about when Hurricane Harvey came in, and I needed to stop the water coming across her driveway. Real easy fix. I just needed to get permission from her, and I didn't know her that well. And so I went next door on Friday before Hurricane Harvey, on Saturday before Emma's surgery on Monday. Went out there. She was over there I said, hey, I need to do something to your driveway. She said, not a problem. Her granddaughter came running up. I said, is this your granddaughter? She goes, yes, it is. I said, oh, ours has surgery on Monday. She goes, really? What's her, I mean, how old is she? I said, she's 4 months old. She goes, is her name Emma? And I said, yes, her name's Emma. And she goes, I'm the head nurse in the operating room. So that was going on for 10 years with the rain, and Hurricane Harvey had to come. We had surgery coming. I had to go talk to her about her yard, her water. We go over there and we just found an answer to our biggest problems. Now, again, the surgery was canceled because of the Hurricane Harvey. But we had access to our next door neighbor to find out everything that's going on. When the surgery happened, every 2 hours, she came out and talked to us, you know? And so it was, you know, all the worry we had was gone like that, from going next door to ask a lady if I could put some wood up on her driveway to stop the rain coming by. And a little girl comes up and I said, is that your granddaughter? And it turns into, is your granddaughter named Emma? I'm the head nurse. So, yeah, you can't write this stuff. So and it happens all the time. It's one after another. And so what keeps me going when I put a mortgage on my house and run my money into the ground and go through inheritance and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
It has nothing to do with me. It's just the plan that I'm on, and let's go do it. It'll work out.
That's such a Texas thing. Just like get her done.
Yeah.
Just do it.
So, and I say it's dark as before the dawn because it's a whoa. And surely we're going to pull up right before we hit the concrete, but they have not.
There's something about having that faith, and in this use the word, I mean specifically about the thing that draws you forward because you believe in the cause, because you believe that you're called to make a difference, because you know that things are going to work together. And we've all had, you know, terrible things happen in our lives, and we've all had miraculous outcomes. And you know, the good thing is when you go through the really dark places and you come out once, then you kind of know that you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like you pop out faster and faster. I used to deal with a lot of depression, and it used to take me a year, 6 months, 3 months. Now, often, you know, even if I get it, it's in my blood, it's in my heritage, right? But like a couple days, and you're like, I can pop out. I can pop out. I'm just going to be kind to myself and pop out. So knowing that is incredible, and we'll obviously would love to have you back on the show sometime, Mike. And I think one of the things that, you know, we didn't even have time today to talk about, but that we could explore is, you know, a lot of it is the faith and the hard work, but also something that's really helpful to social entrepreneurs, which is instead of running your initiative as a charity, you're running it as a business. Yes. So there is a business plan, there is a strategy, there is marketing, there might be investors, there's sales protocols, there's how do you, you know, run it like a business. And we could make a whole episode just on how the benefits of the financial benefits to everyone involved of a social entrepreneurship, as opposed to nothing wrong with them, but kind of the old original model of just a nonprofit. So I think that could be really exciting to learn how to run your social entrepreneurship as a business, which again, no guarantees, but when you build it in a strategic way with a strategic mind, and I know you have that, then that makes a lot of difference. Well, we're going to have to wrap up here in a minute, but I wanted to turn it over to Shmitra if you had any other questions for Mike.
Yeah. My last question, when you think of the word social entrepreneur, what does that mean to you?
Making a difference in the lives of others, you know, and that's just, you know, and I was talking to someone, one of the girls that was on the boat last night, women, I would say, worked at Papa's Seafood. If you're familiar with Papa's Seafood down here in Houston, but they were one of my first jobs back in 1983, waiting tables there. And man, I mean, we weren't being socialpreneurs back then, but boy, customer service was just so pounded into us. And the best thing I got out of there was customer service. I mean, that's one thing you learn as a waiter is no one cares whose fault it is. It's on you. Right. And so you can get all the free stuff in the world from the manager and all that, but you better make sure that you're the one managing that whole thing. And so, and customer service when you're really after your customers, and I mean, to me, it's just even hospice is customer service with your parents. I mean, it's just giving the best customer service you possibly can, always, right? And it doesn't have to be just because it's business customer service. Let's take it farther. Again, my customers who buy my products are buying products that I made. That's the biggest gift that they could give me. So here, how can I pay you back for picking me? That's that's amazing. So anyway, that's why I just want, when people buy from us, that they're so proud to be part of an organization that pays it forward, that's all they're doing is out there talking about, man, we got to, capitalism cause, got to go to these guys, Did it come from them? That's what I want to be, because, and I want to help other people take their products to market, because again, it's the greatest thing in the world to go do. And so, if we can help you go do it, we talked about what stops us. Fear is what stops us. You get past that fear, you find out there wasn't any fear. And I have terrible fear, right? And you step past it, and it's like, well, that was nothing. And it's like, it's just it's a facade in our head. And once you get past, like, okay, well, that was easy, so
I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I love that you're such a real down to earth person, and you're like, there's fear, but you can work through it. You'll come out the other side. There's tragedy, there's addiction, but you can push through it. You're going to come out the other side. Life is worth living. It's a precious gift. Yeah. And not only are we just here to try to enjoy our own, but to have joy, to get the goosebumps from bringing joy to others, which is, in the end, one of the most beautiful elements of social entrepreneurship. Well, we're going to have to wrap this one up. I hope, Mike, if you'll stay with us for a couple minutes afterwards in the off stage, we just have a couple questions for you. And then thank you to all of our listeners watching us today, all of our viewers watching us today. We stream every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. I just did a different show, and my times are stuck in my head from that show, but that is correct. Please join us here. Please like and subscribe. Reach out to Shamitria. You've seen her links, and they're in the notes. To myself. If you have interest in social entrepreneurship, if you know someone who would be great guest for this show, we would love to hear about it. You can email us. You can even email me directly, contact@annscotland.com. And also, if you're interested in having mentorship as a social entrepreneur in our community circle, or if you're looking for coaching, if you're looking for a mastermind, we have resources we can connect you to. So reach out to us. Check out the website, globalsocialpreneurs.com. Enjoy your life. Share that joy with others. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here. Be well and be kind.